What's up, guys? Welcome back to Monster Monday. On today's episode, I'm dealing with another sneaky, cave-dwelling piece of filth, and it's the Darkmantle. Alright guys, the Darkmantle can be found in your 5th edition Monster Manual on page 46. It is not a powerful creature, but I think it's cool, and I think that people should use them more often. So I'm going to tell you about this creature, and then I'm going to feed you a bunch of awesome ideas for how to use it. And I think we could even make a whole adventure / campaign out of this Darkmantle. Are you doubting right now? Are you asking yourself, Bill, that's not possible? This is a challenge rating 1/2 creature. How can you make a campaign out of it? Watch and listen. Okay, the Darkmantle clings to cavern ceilings, remaining perfectly still as it waits for its creatures to pass beneath it. From a distance, it can pass itself off as a stalactite or a lump of stone. Then it drops from the ceiling and unfurls, surrounding itself with magical darkness as it engulfs and crushes its prey. What challenge rating is, Bill? Half? That sounds pretty powerful for a 1/2 CR monster. Allow us to continue. Darkmantles are found throughout the Underdark, but they are equally common on the Shadowfell. Thriving on that dark realm, they fill an ecological niche similar to bats on the material plane. Intelligent creatures of the Shadowfell sometimes train Darkmantles as guardians or companions. Okay, let's take out Underdark and let's take out Shadowfell for a second. And let's just pretend that your setting is a normal setting, and a cave system perhaps, or an old mine. That's where we're going to start planting those seeds for adventure ideas. Stay tuned. All right, as far as its stack block goes, it's a small monstrosity, unaligned. Armor class 11, hit points 22 with a speed of 10 and a flying speed of 30. It has some stealth. It has blind sight for 60 feet. So some of the features that make this cool for your underground settings. Echolocation. The Darkmantle can't use its blind sight while it's deafened. False appearance. While the Darkmantle remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from a cave formation such as a stalactite or stalagmite. That's its real power. False appearance. It can blend in and be completely camouflaged. Okay, so its attacks. It has a crush attack, +5 to hit, 1 creature, does 1d6 +3 bludgeoning damage, and the Darkmantle attaches to the target. If the target is medium or smaller and the Darkmantle has advantage on the attack roll, it attaches by engulfing the target's head, and the target is also blinded and unable to breathe while the Darkmantle is attached in this way. While attached to the target, the Darkmantle can attack no other creature except the target, but it has advantage on its attack rolls. The Darkmantle's speed also becomes 0. It can't benefit from any bonus to its speed, and it moves with the target. A creature can detach the Darkmantle by making a successful DC 13 strength check as an action. On its turn, the Darkmantle can detach itself from the target by using 5 feet of movement. Then it also has darkness, usable once per day. A 15-foot radius of magical darkness extends out of the Darkmantle, moving with it and spreads around the corners. The darkness lasts as long as the Darkmantle maintains concentration, up to 10 minutes, as if concentrating on a spell. Dark vision can't penetrate this darkness, and no natural light can illuminate it. If any of the darkness overlaps with an area of light created by a spell of 2nd level or lower, the spell creating the light is dispelled. All right, let's talk. So it's simple enough to throw a Darkmantle into an encounter. Again, caves, caverns, mines. I would argue even dungeons or old ruins could have these things. As the text block referenced, you kind of can imagine them as otherworldly bats, right? So I could imagine them being in a variety of darkish places. Even above ground in like a ruined castle. Maybe there's a room full of these things, a hallway full of them. Okay, so these are very droppable. You can drop them in, right? Here's where this can become an adventure. Suppose for a second that there's someone smart enough to realize how Darkmantles work and that they are a wonderful, perfect natural defense. Suppose that that person breeds them and feeds them and basically knows how to move around them without getting caught him or herself. Suppose that that person has some kind of loud whistle sound or a cantrip that can mess up their echolocation and effectively blind them so that when he or she wants to move through them, he can. Now, imagine that this person has a very powerful artifact or object. Imagine that this person is an arcane spellcaster. Imagine that this person is a high-level cleric of some strange cult. Imagine that this person is a thief who has stolen something very valuable and the original owner wants it back. Now put your party into a circumstance where they have to go after that person, be that the cleric, be that of the cult, be that the arcane spellcaster or the thief, right? And they have to effectively raid the castle. And they have to get through several layers of Darkmantles, okay? The reason why I like this creature is because it's very scalable. You could put a low level, like even first level party through a series of mazes where they encounter 2 or 3 of these at a time, maybe 5 of them at a time. That could kill a low level party, so maybe you scale that down. But here's where this could become a whole adventure. You could have a mid-level party or even a higher level party have to deal with a lot of these, like a whole bunch of them, right? And this is where the DM's ability to change things comes into play. Because suppose that you have a party of people who know what a Darkmantle is. Maybe you have some experienced players who've also DM'd and they know the stat block for the Darkmantle. But what they don't know is that you have created a greater Darkmantle. What's a greater Darkmantle, Bill? Well, a greater Darkmantle is no longer a small monstrosity, it's a medium monstrosity. A greater Darkmantle has a higher armor class, has more hit points, and has a more powerful crush attack. A greater Darkmantle, once they're attached, to break out of that greater Darkmantle's hold is instead of a DC 13, it's a DC 16 saving throw. So you've just raised the difficulty of this Darkmantle by making it bigger. It can attach to anyone else. It's harder to break out of that attachment. And instead of having darkness aura once per day, it's darkness aura at will. There you go. So maybe you have a few of these encounters with the lesser Darkmantles, and then the group stumbles upon another area where a bunch of lessers attack. They're preoccupied by the attack of the lessers, and you have a greater Darkmantle in the presence as well, who maybe attaches to one of the spellcasters. So this immediately changes the whole game. This immediately changes this encounter into a potential longer adventure because you've created a backstory for why these Darkmantles are there. Now let's go back to the mine or a cavern. Suppose that you have an abandoned mine, or maybe it wasn't abandoned. Maybe it was overrun by Darkmantles and the miners have had to flee, and the owner of the mine wants to reclaim the mine because it's very valuable and it has a lot of valuable ore. So the party is hired to go and clear this mine out. These Darkmantles could be used in conjunction with other creatures. So you could have an area that's protected by a layer of Darkmantles, and then maybe you have some chokers coming through from previous episodes of Monster Monday. You could have a bunch of these different cave-dwelling creatures who are kind of making it more of a challenge for the party to sweep this mine out. And in the end, they have to confront a nest of a mix of Darkmantles and greater Darkmantles. Now, you might be saying, Bill, I can't see this Darkmantle being any more challenging for people over 10th level. And that could be true, if I didn't come up with an even more powerful than the greater Darkmantle, the dire Darkmantle. Yes, folks, that's right, the dire Darkmantle. What is a dire Darkmantle, Bill? It is not a medium monstrosity. It is now a large monstrosity. This is like in the Aliens movie, this is like the Queen, right? The dire Darkmantle is a large monstrosity with 4 times the hit points, a much higher armor class. Because it's so old, its skin is encrusted in a sort of insectoid carapace, and now it has an AC of 18. It can cast darkness at will, but it can also cast Dispel Magic 4 times a day. Also, it sprays out a toxic poison cloud. What else do you need? Oh yeah, to break out of a dire Darkmantle's hold, you have to beat a DC of 20. And it can hold multiple opponents. It can hold up to 3 because it's huge. It's large. Think about it. So it can bloop, 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 like an octopus, right? Like a floating magical cave octopus. So that is how I could see the Darkmantle being more than just what's on this one page. I could see adventures with this thing. And by the way, while we mention octopus, what's to stop a DM from putting a Darkmantle underwater? Just because it says that they can't breathe underwater? Wrong. You decide that. So now they have gills. So maybe you're on a seafaring expedition and there's a Darkmantle that attacks the ship, and it's a dire Darkmantle. Throw your party a few curveballs and watch them react. It's part of the fun of the game. Last but not least, I could definitely see this being something that dwells outside of the subterranean world. And here's the context for that. Suppose that you have a mountainous area. It could even be Arctic, like frozen weather, mountainous expedition. The party's going through, they're passing by little fissures and caves, and maybe there are Darkmantles who dwell in those fissures and caves, and they don't get to eat a lot. So they're swooping out. For a greater or a dire Darkmantle, you just give them a reach of 30 feet with their 8 different tentacles, and they don't have to leave the cave. They could swoop out, make a grapple attack, and pull their prey in. So those are just a few ways that I feel like you could take this mere simple 1/2 CR creature and turn it into an ongoing series of encounters, and even possibly the core of an adventure, or even throughout a campaign, just by scaling it up. You've got your basic Darkmantle, your greater Darkmantle, and your dire Darkmantle. Could we have an undead Darkmantle? Yes, but let's keep it down, okay? So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Monster Monday. Sometimes we ramble on for many minutes, and sometimes we're a little more short and concise, but I feel like this was a good one for a lot of different options, how you could drop it in, where you could put it, how you could use it, how you could stretch it out and build a story around it. And like all episodes of Monster Monday, I hope it's been informative and helpful for both new DMs and experienced veterans who might be jaded and bored. But thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, and please don't forget to click that notifications bell so you know when the next episode's coming. We'll see you next time.